Hey, 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 everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd over here, and it's time for a weekly track roundup where I go over what I felt were the best and worst tracks of the week. Hey! Hope you're doing well. Hope you get some good recommendations out of this video. All the songs I mention in this video are linked down there in the description, as usual, along with, of course, our Amazon Associates link. Hit up that link if you live in the US. Use it to buy some stuff you were going to buy anyway. Anything you purchase on there after clicking on that link, again, if you live in the US, we get kickback from it. And we have a similar thing going on with the good people over at Turntable Lab. Go over there. You can buy some colorful pressings of records that I've reviewed on the channel positively and negatively. And they have a bunch of equipment over there for the budding record collector, turntables, speakers, and everything else you need. Again, hit up these links. Helps out the segment. Helps out the channel. Especially Turntable Lab. Support a good business. And support the music world. All right? All right. That's all I gotta pimp in this video. Oh, wait. Forgot. T-shirts. Listen, the name Tano shirt, this is gonna be the last week on this shirt. Okay? So thank you to everybody who's picked up a shirt so far. Everybody who bought a shirt last week after they saw the last tracks video, those shirts have not been sent out yet, but the past batch of shirts are getting sent out Monday. But the last batch, they have not been sent out yet because they're going to be sent out with sort of the final batch of everything. Okay? And that's all I have to say. Again, one more week on this shirt. Come this time next Sunday, this shirt will no longer be in rotation. So if you want this shirt, get it now while supplies last. Well, it's not even really a supply thing. It's more of a time cutoff sort of thing. So the link to grab a shirt is down there in the description. And let's get into the worst tracks of the week. Hey! All right. Let's kick it off. This new Kesha song, Him. Unfortunately, this is not really living up to the hype and the excitement that I had initially when I heard the first single from this album, which was a really huge, powerful, personal ballad for Kesha. A really dynamic track, showed, I think, just sort of a level of, I guess, emotional capacity that I didn't think was capable in her music before. But now it just sounds like she's writing generic top 40 pap, and that's it. Really the most unimpressive single out of all of them that I've heard so far. Not the worst one, but the most generic and forgettable of all of them. And my boy Jake Paul over here has a brand new track out titled YouTube Star Diss. YouTube Star Diss. You know, our everyday bro over here. New track. And I click on it because I'm thinking, hey, you know, it'll probably be dumb. It'll probably be cringy. It'll probably be stupid. But I'll have fun watching it, you know, and I'll know that he had fun doing it or something. But I click on it, and it's not this hard, in-your-face, funny, sort of stupid YouTube star diss. It's this dumb track where he's like, you don't understand me. Everybody's picking on me. I've done a lot of nice things for the world, okay? I do nice things for people. That's not on your Instagram. That's not on your Twitter feed. Where's that? Where's all the nice stuff? I'm a good person. I'm nice. Why are you so mean to me? Stop picking on me. Listen, we all appreciate that you may in fact be a nice person. That's totally fine. But you make crappy music, and that's why everybody's kind of crapping on you. And that's all. You're just a really corny dude who can't rap, and you make crappy music. And that's the reason people are just shitting on you. You know, it's nothing personal. It's nothing against you as a person. Nobody really knows anything about you as a person. There are probably some, you know, really nasty trolls on the internet that have sort of been coming at you as a result of this song. And I get that. And I'm sorry if that's the case, you know. But as far as other people, you know, other YouTubers, news organizations commenting on what you're doing, I mean, they're doing it because you're essentially a meme now and your music sucks, including this song. So I don't know. I just wish you did like a fun, funny diss, you know, and just kind of responded to, you know, the fact that people are just kind of having fun with what you're doing in kind. You know, I think you're just kind of taking it a little too seriously. Like everybody's just kind of picking on it because it's just dumb and stupid and bad, you know, and that's all. It has nothing to do with whether or not you're a nice person. And even if you are a nice person, it doesn't make your music suck any less. You know, your music is still shit. So I don't know what else to say to you, dude. Like, you know, I'm assuming that this song is coming from a real place. And this one's bad too. So if people pick on you for this one, again, it has nothing to do with whether or not you're good or bad. Your music just stinks. And let's get into the tracks that I was just kind of meh on. You know, I didn't actively search for anything that I really disliked this week. Just some things that sort of passed by my, you know, ears there. So the worst track segment is kind of short this time. But the tracks that I thought were just okay, wasn't crazy about them, but still worth recommending, still worth talking about, still worth mentioning, still worth linking down there in the description. Let's go. First, this new track from Zomby, which is going to be released as part of this like small 3-part release, is titled GASP. Don't want to go in too much detail. If I go into the process of describing this song too deeply, I run the risk of Zomby hopping on Twitter and calling me another fruit. So, you know, and everybody already calls me a melon. So I don't want anybody else calling me, I don't know, a banana or an apple or whatever fruit he's going to call me next. But I will say that the groove on this is one of the nastiest and most fun I've ever heard on a Zomby song so far. Just really funky, just really bassy, really nice atmosphere surrounding the beats on this track. It does sort of reach a point of monotony toward the end, but you know, it seems like more of a club context for this song than it is just kind of like simply sitting down on headphones and over-analyzing it or something like that. But it is very enjoyable beat, is very enjoyable production, and looking forward to seeing him kind of maybe grow in this direction, because I didn't really care for his last record that much, but this definitely piqued my interest. Next, excuse me, can't talk right now. Weaves, Wide Open. The song off of this record is titled Number 53, and it's a little bit of a 90s sort of indie rock throwback, but there are some solid pieces of guitar work on here, solid vocal melodies on this thing. I actually love the singing vocals on this thing. The singer on this thing has a lot of personality. She's got a lot of grit. You know, but there's kind of a nice melodic sort of delivery to her singing on this thing. It's not too rough, not too wild. Just a really sweet, catchy bit of a 90s throwback. It's a sweet tune. Moving on from there, The War on Drugs, another track from the project's forthcoming record, A Deeper Understanding. The song is titled Pain. And yeah, you know, just kind of another breezy, laid-back, jangly, atmospheric indie rock tune, or with a kind of a folky, somewhat folky twist to it, just a little bit. Some of these new singles over here have not really been hitting me all that hard. I'm just kind of waiting to see if maybe in the context of the new record they really kind of grab my interest and hold my interest as an entire project, because as a series of standalone tracks, it's not really wowing me thus far. However, I did really dig this new Sremmurd sort of one-off track, Perplexing Pegasus, which is a ridiculous song title. But it is a very fun tune. You know, not much of a hook on this thing, but some of the lyrics are pretty fun. And it's got a very catchy flow, very eerie, beautiful instrumental, very chill, laid-back sort of pop rap track with a trap twist. It's not bad. Not one of my favorite Sremmurd singles, but it does have a nice vibe to it. And again, the flow is very catchy. And I got to give a shout out to this new METZ track, Drained Lake. Definitely seems like the band is kind of reverting back to their generic noise rock selves and, you know, sort of post-hardcore selves on this track a little bit. The riff writing on their last project I thought was just super rudimentary, super boring, very generic, and I think they're kind of, again, falling into those ways again. However, I do have to give this track the fact that the band sort of worked in some crazy noises and effects over the guitars, just kind of add like this wild, sort of interesting texture to the song that, you know, is just sort of beyond, you know, the general guitar, bass, drum, vocal setup, you know. So there is kind of some interesting sonic play at work here. You know, I'm not taking everything away from the track. But again, the guitar work I think has slipped a little bit into run-of-the-mill. Moving on from there, Holograms, the post-punk band out of Europe that is kind of dark, and they sound a bit like Ice Age. They have a new track out, which I didn't even know they have like a new album out titled Surrender. And this track over here that they put out, and they dropped a music video for it as well. It is titled, if I can not be an idiot, Shame. And you know, it kind of seems like the band is going back to their roots a little bit, or at least the roots of their debut record. Their sophomore record, I think, hit a little bit of a slump. seemed like they kind of lost what made the band appealing in the first place. However, this new track over here, it's a bit more stripped back. It's more visceral. It's more gritty. It's more direct. Again, I don't really think they're doing anything much better than they did on their debut record, but this sort of gives me a little bit of hope that they're actually going to, again, kind of start from square one and try to build from there into hopefully something different or something a little bit more adventurous. I hope they don't just do the same thing, on another album as they did on their debut. But again, it sort of seems like they've hit that vein of viscera once more that sort of got me hooked into their music in the first place. Next, this new Higher Brothers single that I got off of the 88 Rising YouTube channel. They've been dropping a lot of singles, and they're kind of killing it with these singles. Like, this is a good rap group from the Far East. And I don't know, dude, they got good production. They got good flows. The songs are catchy. Obviously, there's a little bit of a language barrier, but they do put subtitles on the videos. Not that a lot of you really pay attention to fucking lyrics anyway. Just listen to the vibe of the track and the instrumental and the flows, and you're going to like it, because I think a lot of what makes so much contemporary hip-hop catchy over here, these guys are doing it. They're on the ball. There's nothing really sort of about their style or about their sound or about their performances that is the least bit off. I mean, I'm not going to say it's like the best written song or best produced song I've ever heard, but they're definitely up to the standards of what you would expect from a lot of popular rap of today in the West. So, they're doing it and they're killing it, and they're getting a lot of views doing it too. So shout out to Higher Brothers. The song, again, it's titled Young Master. All right, next I want to give a shout out to this new Fortet song, Planet. Fortet has sort of gone back to his roots a little bit and has delivered a track with, kind of a driving, hypnotic dance beat and some elements of like acoustic sounds sort of weaved into the instrumental as well that I think are very beautiful, very refined, very nice on the ear. It's not one of my favorite Fortet songs ever, but it is kind of a nice bit of a change of pace to hear something that I expected, from Fortet, because he has been kind of in the weeds a little bit, kind of experimenting with a bunch of different sounds and uploading them to Bandcamp, and sometimes they're, a little hit or miss for me. However, this one really did grab my attention, and, it's not one of my favorite Fortet songs ever, but it is a nice production. And finally, in this segment, I want to shout out the new Complete Failure track, I Am the Gun. Now, I believe this project is going to be coming out on Seasons of Mist, which is, a very cool left field alternative underground metal label that don't typically put out the kind of stuff that this band makes. Essentially, this song is like some really enraged, wild, noisy hardcore and metalcore. Not the kind of generic, chug, 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 super breakdown centric hardcore. There's something very furious and dark and almost blackened about what the band is doing on this track. While it is very much hardcore at its base, there is something very atmospheric and very dark and very ominous about it. It's not just simply this kind of bro like spin kicks, camo shorts, that kind of shit. There's something really dark and strange and sort of weird and that I can't quite put my finger on. There's something murky and very cloudy and grim about it, that I think makes it kind of interesting. And I'm definitely going to be keeping an eye out for this forthcoming record, because this song did grab my attention. Next, let's get into the tracks that I thought were the best tracks that I heard all week, the songs that excited me the most. First off, the new The World is a Beautiful Place and I Am No Longer Afraid to Die song, Dillon and Her Son. This is a new single out from the band, which I believe has just undergone a bit of a personnel change and kind of a sound change too, which for me is not all that surprising, considering that I think they just signed up with Epitaph. So they're going to be releasing music with that label. And they wouldn't be the first band with kind of a punk edge to sign up with Epitaph or release an album on Epitaph that, cleaned up their sound a little bit, got a little more direct. And that's exactly what this song is. This is like one of the sweetest and most straightforward songs the world has ever recorded and released. And it's actually not a bad sound for them, in my opinion. I actually think the song is very fun, very catchy, very energetic, very captivating. Maybe not as dynamic and as dramatic as some of their slower, more post-rock influenced stuff. But I actually do like the direction the band took this song in. And hopefully, they kind of balance this track out with some tracks that are, a little bit more, again, dynamic, slower on the deeper cuts of the album. Because, again, this is sort of Epitaph Records. They're the kind of label that while they are, holding the torch and carrying the torch, rather, for the punk ethos, they do sort of put bands in a situation where they do have to come out with a strong single to promote a record. So, I'm not all that surprised. Moving on from there, Open Mike Eagle has a new song out and a new record on the way. This song over here is titled 95 Radios. It's, not the strongest, catchiest, most hard-hitting single from Open Mike you're ever going to hear. It's one of his slower, more, introspective rap ballad type tunes, but it's actually a very sweet melody that once I listened to it several times over, it really stuck with me. It's a really sweet, endearing track. Again, it may take a little bit to grow on you because it is very easygoing, but it is a very sweet track. And of course, as always, I am very excited to listen to another album from Mr. Open Mike, easily one of the most creative rappers working today. Moving on from there, Lou's Dead, which is the title of this new song from Lou the Human, who is sort of an up-and-coming rapper right now that I've been keeping tabs on because he does have kind of a very special sort of dark kind of vibe to him. I like his lyrics. To me, this song is very, very lyrical, very, kind of confessional, very dark at points. And while Lou, I've always read sort of a bit of an Eminem influence in his music, this is probably easily his most Eminem-inspired track thus far. However, that doesn't mean he's just rapping real fast over a really mediocre beat or anything like that. He's still got some creative production. He's still got a lot of swagger and charisma, and there's still kind of that dark, moody vibe that sort of drew me to his music in the first place. But, the lyrics are definitely really grim, very dark here, and actually very well written too at points, I would say. Liars, Liars, Liars dropped 2 tracks this week, titled Coins in My Caged Fist and The Grand Delusional, sort of on the opposite ends of the spectrum in terms of just energy level, one of which, has more of a subdued, very despondent, almost like as low-key as some of the material on Wish You was. And then the flip side of that, has a harder beat. It's more straightforward. I would say both of the tracks as a vibe is just the sounds of the vocals, the vibe of the instrumental, the sound of the instrumental, very good. My first impressions was that there was a point toward the end of each track where they did hit a little bit of a lull. However, I will admit I didn't listen to these songs multiple times over, again and again and again and again, because I don't want to spoil too much of the album for myself because I am very excited for this record. However, first impressions from just the mere sound of the tracks, I was actually very impressed and still very excited to kind of hear this new album. Moving on from there, Juicy J. Oh my God. This new song over here, Flood Watch with Offset, is fantastic. It's got kind of this straightforward trap beat to it. Very heavy bass, very sharp snares, the rattling hi-hats, the whole deal. But then there's this amazing piano chord progression on the track that is kind of glam inspired. It almost sounds like, parts of it could have made sense on David Bowie's Life on Mars. I don't know, man. Just the piano part in this thing is amazing. And, Juicy J's flows and his refrains on this track are very catchy, very dark, very violent, very gritty. Offset does this thing too. I think it's a really quality track, and I don't know, has me kind of excited to see what Juicy J is going to be doing in the near future because this is a great song. Moving on from there, got to give a shout out to my dude Hot Dad, who has a very wordy titled new single over here titled Can You Talk to People Around the World on the Internet? It's a bit of a poppy, synth pop, new wave throwback where he is sort of literally singing about whether or not you could send people messages like via email over the internet. It's very funny, sort of tongue-in-cheek, very entertaining, very catchy as usual song. Hot Dad sort of continues to have this knack for writing songs that, you know, they sort of flirt with the idea of making comedy music, and there's obviously a silly sort of weird comedic tone to them, but they're legitimately catchy songs. You know, they're well-produced songs, and they're well-structured songs with very solid hooks. You know, so it's sort of a comedy music that you can enjoy almost without even, you know, worrying yourself about what the comedic element of it is, because, again, it's so catchy. And moving on from there, I want to give a shout-out to this new Deerhoof song featuring Laetitia Sadier of, you know, obviously Stereolab fame. And I got to give a shout-out to this song over here because come down here and say that. It's this track over here where Deerhoof kind of take that sweeter, more, I guess, I don't know, more easygoing, almost sleeker tone of the last track. And I think they kind of bring back a little bit of the quirkiness of Friend Opportunity. And Deerhoof's vocals and Sadier's vocals actually do like pair very well on this track. Like, it's actually a really good pairing. It's a really good collaboration. She actually brings a lot to the song and Deerhoof's vibe. And I don't know, it's just kind of a really good collaboration. It's a catchy song, and Deerhoof's usual sort of fun and quirk is there. Not so much the whole low-key thing that they dabbled on with that weird garage rock album that they dropped not too long ago, where I think they were, you know, just kind of doing something a little bit more generic and anonymous. This to me seems like Deerhoof pushing forward, doing something a little cleaner, a little poppier, a little different, but it's still very much a strong Deerhoof sound, I guess I'll say. And nearing the end of this, I'm getting kind of worn out here because I've talked about so many songs in this video. I just gathered all these tracks. I'm like, I want to talk about all these tracks. Got to give a shout out to the new Brockhampton single over here. It's titled Gummy, and it's a banger. It's great. Has me totally excited for the second project they're going to be dropping this freaking year, Saturation 2. The flows Kevin Abstract brings on this track are incredible. They're great. And the beat has almost like kind of a wild West Coast vibe to it, like a 90s West Coast sound to it that I think is really good. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I love it. I think it's a great single. And lastly, I got to give a shout out to Benjamin Clementine for this new track over here titled God Save the Jungle. And this is some of the most visceral music Benjamin Clementine has come out with to date. I mean, I really enjoyed his last record, but there were elements of it that to me read as just super duper refined, almost a little too hoity-toity to kind of get exciting or kind of get the blood pumping. And, you know, this to me sounds like he's writing more coherent, more focused, more direct songs that aren't so much, you know, kind of I guess kind of have an air about them. This over here just seems so, you know, just so concentrated, so potent. And I love that, you know, because Benjamin is an incredible piano player. He is an incredible singer. And it's electrifying to sort of hear him using those talents to create music that is just, I guess, a little bit more in the main jugular of, you know, sort of emotion, you know. And we're going to leave it at that. Those were the tracks from this week that I'm recommending to you guys. Hope you check them all out, or at least the ones that sort of piqued your interest here. Again, that Amazon and Turntable Lab link, hit it down there below. Shirts are available as well, along with all the tracks I talked about in this video. And you're the best. I'll see you guys in the next one. Again, hope you got some good recommendations out of this. And love you, love you, love you. Mwah, 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 mwah. Forever.